The SM57. Almost every engineer's got one, or four, or more. They do a thing, and this video is definitely for the nerds. We're going to compare different 57s, different 57 kind of knockoffs and clones, and then kind of 57-ish microphones and see just what the differences are and whether we should care or not. Let's go. So this video is sponsored by nobody. If you want to check out our Ultimate Reaper guide, the link is down in the description below. Support us on Patreon, all that kind of stuff. Hit the subscribe button, it's all massively appreciated. But this is not a video that anybody is paying me to do. I'm just curious and a massive nerd. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to do little sections where I use a distorted guitar and a clean guitar, and we're going to compare, say, these, then we're going to add in some others, and then right at the very end of the video, we're going to do a no talking, full like encyclopedia of back-to-back tones. Might pick one of these four as kind of the go-to, and then A-B between that and whatever the different sound is. Now, the 57 is ubiquitous. I personally don't really like the sound of it, but I find that very often in a mix it cuts through in a way that is really useful to me. If I have one instrument and I need one microphone, this might not be what I pick. But if I have a dense mix and I need a guitar to cut through, or I need a snare to cut through, that kind of thing, chances are I'm going to use an SM57. And so I've got a few different ones here. I've got one that is absolutely brand new. I've got one that is heavily modified by me. I kind of weighed down there's a little disc in front of the capsule that makes it cardioid. I've kind of weighed that down. I've shorted a resistor across the pins, removed the transformer from it. So that's massively different. I've got one that's a modern made in Mexico one, and that one has the Crimson Audio Transformer mod. And I've got a very old Shure 545, what used to be a 545L transformerless model that's now been modified to have the Crimson Audio Transformer, much like the brand new Mexico one. So we're going to put these up against each other back to back, and I'm absolutely millimeter accurate with getting sure that these are in exactly the same place. As you can see, the bodies of these are exactly the same size. And what I'm doing is using a stand from Gravity Stands, which I bought with the studio money, again, not a sponsorship, but it's super heavy and super accurate, and I can swing the microphone in, and I'm using a tape measure and being millimeter accurate. So the capsule is exactly a certain number of millimeters from the edge of the cabinet. The microphone is then an exact number of millimeters from the grill cloth. And so by doing that, I can repeatedly have these in exactly to the millimeter positioning, which means that the sound is going to be repeatable. And I'm going to check that every time. It's going to take me forever to do this, but it's got to be done right, because otherwise someone in the comments will go, oh, well, the sound difference is because they're in different places. No, they're not. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do that is super nerdy but is worth doing is that I'm going to run a 1 kilohertz test tone through my reamp rig before each one and make sure the gain is matched. I'm going to be using a Cranbourne Audio Camden preamp from their EC2 rack that's behind me, and that's a super clean preamp, but I'm engaging the thump mode, which is kind of like halfway up and makes it very kind of Neve-like. It's got that transformer kind of saturation. And that is reamping a PV5150 Mark I with a tube screamer in front of it. That's our heavy tone. And for the clean, I'm going to use my Marshall JMP from 1978. It's a 100-watt Marshall with the low sensitivity input, so the gain's not going to be super high. And so that's going to be, again, clean. And I'm using a Signal Art reamp box to make this the same every time, consistent. So it's not going to be my playing that affects it, because it's going to be repeatable. And so that is going into the tube screamer. There's a noise gate, which won't affect much because, again, consistent, same every time. And so the first part of this video is going to be these 4 microphones. And what I'm going to do is black out the screen, and I'm going to go A, B, C, D. Now, one of those is a stock Modern 57. One of them is a modified Modern 57. One of them is a very heavily modified, slightly old 57, but that's like massively modded. And the other one is the 545, the old Unidyne 3 capsule. See if you can guess which one is which. So, the results. Number 1 was the stock Modern 57, basically out of the box new. The next one was the 57, that is the new one with the Crimson Audio Transformer mod. The third one was the heavily modified one. You could probably hear quite a distinct difference there. And the last one was the 545. Let's hear them again in a different order, now with the right results on screen, because it's not a very big difference. Really fascinates me that these can be so similar, but this is a video I've already done recently. So now we extend it. Now we start getting into the 57 clones. Now these 4 microphones that I'm gonna do, one of them I'm gonna use that stock SM57 that's completely unmodified, the new one. And I'm going to add a pile PD78, which looks a lot like an SM58. 57 even, SM57, duh. The Stag professional SDM70, and I'm gonna add the Behringer SL75C. Now these might be exactly the same microphone from the same factory. I don't currently know. They might be from different factories. They might be made to kind of sound like a 57. They might sound nothing like a 57. And actually, I've not heard any of these yet. So I'm going to do these as the same as before. Blind test, A, B, C, D, and one of them's a real 57. Can you tell which one is which? Okay, so more sonic difference this time. And so this time, A was the Behringer. B was the real 57, this one, the one that's untouched by human hands. C was the pile of sound. And D was the stag. So yeah, absolutely fascinating. And now we get on to the SM7-ish stuff. Now round one of the 57-ish stuff is gonna have the real 57, a Lewitt MTP 440, which is again not a direct clone but has its own thing going on, an Audix i5, which again has its own thing going on, and an SE Electronics V7X, which is their smaller instrument version of their V7. So let's hear these in another blind test and we'll see which one was which. So we're really starting to hear differences here. Now, A this time was the original 57. B was the Audix i5. C was the Lewitt, and D was the SE Electronics. We're really starting to venture into territory where they don't sound anything alike. But that's where, I mean, you kind of expected this. But here's round 2 of the 57-ish stuff. So round 2 is gonna have 5 microphones in it, just because of the way I'm doing this, it makes more sense. Now, one of them is gonna be a real 57. One of them is gonna be this Pile PD Mic 1, which weighs almost nothing and was the cheapest microphone I could find, full stop. It's a real pile of, not good. But let's see how it sounds. We've got this Ion handheld mic, which I've used in the studio quite a lot because it's a surprisingly clear sounding dynamic mic. I've got the JZ Microphones HH1, which could work really well on a cabinet. And I've got the Sontronics Solo. So I'm gonna put these 4 and the 57 together in a back-to-back. This time I'm putting a list on screen of which one was which. I'm sure you could have worked out that this one wasn't a real 57. I mean, it weighs nothing, oh boy. But there you go. So the last round is a real interesting one. The last round is back to a real 57 and this, the Slate ML2 modeling microphone. First in modern 57 mode, then in vintage 57 mode. But I'm going to scramble again the order around, so it's going to be an ABC. Now that you've heard this one quite a few times, you might guess which one this one is immediately, you might not. So again, these are all going to be gain matched and exactly the same distance from the cabinet, exactly the same place, and I'm measuring to the center of the diaphragm, not to the edge, because these are different sizes. So if I did that, they would be several millimeters off. Now, hopefully, the microphone stand didn't change places at all because it's so heavy. I can pop one off the stand, swing the next one in, and that should be in place. But if it's not, I'm double and triple checking with that measure to make sure it's exactly the same every time. Now, without further ado, 3 mics, 2 virtual, 1 real. Which one's which? So there you go. What have we achieved with this video? Not a lot. I mean, this might have been a really useful video for you in deciding that you like the 57, that you don't. You might have decided that the 57s are really similar, so you can buy any one and it will be accurate. You might have decided that they're really different from each other depending on how you view things. You might have decided that you prefer the sound of one of these alternatives. You might now go out and buy one real one and one different one, depending on what they are. None of the microphones here were particularly expensive. I think the most expensive was the JZ mic at £120. So, you know, 120 euros or something like that. The Sontronic Solo's around that price too, but most of these are around the $100 mark or less. And a lot of the clones were way less. So that's a really interesting thing to keep in mind. And so there you go. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate your support on Patreon because that lets us do mad videos like this that take forever to produce and forever to edit. And thank you everybody for watching because it's really appreciated that you stuck around so long. Now, without further ado, now that we've had the big list of patrons come up on the screen because it really is appreciated, I didn't want to leave that to the end of the video this time because now we have the Encyclopedia SM57 Tanaka, which is, I'm going to put this microphone, which is a stock 2022, unused apart from a couple of little demos, SM57, and then a different one, then back to this, then back to the next one, then back to this, then back to the next one. If I try and timestamp all of that, that would be too much for the comments to handle, so sorry I haven't done that. I have timestamped all of the ones up to now, so if you read the description before you did the blind test, then shame on you. But yeah, there you go. So hopefully this video is of some use to you. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's helped out to make this possible. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.